Hi, I'm MacGybo. Last month I asked you what you'd like me to make videos about, and the response was incredible. Over 220 responses. I found the suggestions to be wide-ranging, inventive, inspirational, and numerous. This tells me that there are many people passionate and knowledgeable about Eve, and I'm delighted that you've chosen to engage with me. I've read all the suggestions and sorted them into broad categories to see if there are common themes, and there are definitely common themes. So let's take a look at those themes. Top suggestion for what you'd like me to make a video about is solo or multi-box PvP. 31 of you went into a lot of detail with these suggestions. Aaron Stillwell said maybe a video about gate camping in low and nullsec, maybe a different video for each area. Present how to set up a good camp as well as tips to avoid getting caught by camps. Low and null gate camping is also suggested by Bio Leduc and Gandalf Grey. Captain Ryder Keon takes it a step further and asks to see videos about drag bubbles in low sec, which I will definitely do. Cyril Aurelien says, I would really like to see you coming up with a new surprise ship to be used in PvP. Something along the lines of the Battle Heron or Battle Porpoise when they first came out. Something that has not been done to death already. I fly in faction warfare and love when people fly something off meta. I might even have one here, but the Battle Venture is something that I've toyed with in the past. I know there are other people who do it to great effect. I have ganked in high sec with a venture before as well. On a similar note, Shahzad asks for niche fit ships for solo hunting. Evil has asked for videos on multi-box camping. I saw someone doing something like this in low sec recently, where they had an interceptor for scramming, remote wreck at cruiser to stop the interceptor being popped by the gate guns, a Gnosis or a Praxis for actually doing the damage. Ishtar Barclay suggested something which I'm really interested in. He says entering Sov nullsec through wormholes, killing someone and then disappearing back. And I've been thinking of using filaments to do this, entering somewhere then coming back via Poshven. And I've even got a Kikimora fit especially for this activity, and Hodge666 made a similar suggestion. Greg Emer suggests solo PvP in wormhole and trig space, which is definitely a more challenging type of PvP. TrixMTL wants to see me roaming low sec looking for PvP in a big ship, a battleship or higher, which could be a lot of fun as well, maybe a bit more expensive. So a lot of people there wanting solo or multi-box PvP videos in all areas of space. The second most popular suggestion was for videos about wormhole space. The Destiny comments on the lack of local chat in wormhole space, making the place extra spooky. But I think there is a local chat, isn't there? It's just no character list. But I agree about the spooky element. Robert Spielman describes wormhole life as mysterious and downright scary. Zeba Serpelin comments on the fun lifestyle of wormhole space with a low-sec connection. Emmy Verona wants me to bait hunters in wormhole space. Happy Banana 1202 has what I think is a very good suggestion, a nomad series. This simply means living out of a ship or two in a wormhole and seeing how far you can go without dying, so trying to PvP, rat mine, etc. I think it would make for a super fun, engaging series, and it's been very popular amongst the wormhole community in the past, and it raises overall activity of wormholes, as many see how fun they can be with no local, the constant threat of cloaky T3s decloaking on you, etc, etc. Starglider 7 talks about the riches to be made in J-Space, and NoPro talks about the interacting with the wormhole community for content. Is there a specific wormhole community? Which I think just goes to illustrate the depths of EVE Online. There's something I was reading about last night, which I've forgotten all about, but it was the the roaming, migrating storms that go from system to system in EVE Online that bring with it the different effects. That's something I forgot all about, but it's another dimension, another aspect of EVE Online. There's just so much to it. It therefore doesn't surprise me that the wormholers have their own community. So I think some wormhole videos should be added to my list of future videos to make. The next most popular topic was faction warfare. Abba Favoya wants me to provide in-depth guides and gameplay to understand what to expect from the new faction warfare system. Shiro Neutronica makes a similar point about videos in order to explain how, to the new and older players, how these changes have had an impact on faction warfare. Asmio6 doesn't want boring sit in a plex and stare at a timer warp off if someone shows up faction warfare, but PvP fights, wins and losses. I was in LowSec when the changes came in, and I noticed immediately a change to the behaviour of the people engaged in faction warfare, and it wasn't so much that all of the people who were doing possibly automated, but sitting in plexes with empty ships, and there was lots of those around Verge Vendor. They seemed to disappear almost overnight, but what they were replaced with was multi-boxing faction warfare players. Some of them possibly automated, some of them not, some of them just talented people flying 4, 5, 6 characters, flying exactly the same ship and the same fit to try and get maximum reward and minimum time from the faction warfare plexus, but they were fit to fight, and fight they did. So there already has been some changes, and you're more likely to get a fight, and also there's far more active PvPers have joined faction warfare since the changes. So it very much is an alive part of EVE Online, and I can understand why people want more content focused on this. It's definitely something that I think could be a lot of fun to do. Espresso Jack makes the same point. And with the upcoming allegiance changes, then having a non-committal focus for a player could be a lot of fun. You don't need to have, in the future, in the very near future, you're not going to need to have your corp be part of faction warfare for you to do it. Although I believe there might be the option for the people who run your corp to put restrictions on which factions you can join. Amy Laminate goes even further and says that she would like me to join Amar faction warfare and provide content of fighting for the Emperor. So yeah, a lot of people suggesting faction warfare in light of the recent changes. So that's another topic added to the list. The next most popular suggestion is quite similar to the first one, but it's to run small gang fleet PvP and gate camps. So whereas the first category about PvP and gate camps was doing it solo or multi-box, this category was more about inviting other people, so running a fleet, running public fleets, running small gang PvP fleets, running fleets within the new corps. I have well aware that there are fleets being run in Abazon, and I would suggest that people seek out the people running those fleets. I'll provide a name of the people doing that in the description, but check it out. If you like the idea of trying out low-sec gate camps, go check out Abazon. I went in there for a while doing smart bombing, and I had the time of my life. It was the most fun I've had in EVE in a long time. I lost billions of ships. I lost the Proteus 2, 3. I lost Maulers, but I actually made more money than I lost, considerably more, from smart bombing shuttles that were going through. So yeah, I did end up with some red on my Z kill, but ended up with more money in my pocket and had a lot of fun and got talking to a lot of people there and got invited to fleets. And that's the thing about EVE, is you can, if you go in with the attitude of it's a game and people who are killing you are just other players in the game and you can chat to them afterwards and get on with them, then you end up been in a position where they invite you to be part of their fleet. And I think all you have to do in order to get those kind of invites is to not be a jerk. People want to be friends with other pilots in EVE Online. They want to be able to expand their groups that they can fight with and play with and fleet up with. And going in there, even if you get blown up by people, you chat to them, they give you hints, they give you tips to tell you where you've gone wrong, and it's another name that you know, and it's another person, another pilot that you can fly with. And then this is how the EVE career can take you in lots of different directions. You could end up in a different corp or trying out a different area of gameplay, and it's just by getting out and doing things and talking to people and not being a jerk. So small gang, fleet, PvP and gate camps. Lots of suggestions to make videos about that. Paid Programming wants me to make a series of different fleet PvP setups for hunting, camping and roaming with members of your corp. InQ's has given me what I think is, I don't know how I feel about this suggestion, but it's called it a peer pressure fleet. Point pilots you see and force them to join the roaming fleet, and if they refuse, then kill them and see how big the fleet can grow. Yeah, I like that idea, but it's kind of a bit unethical, isn't it? Says the ganker. Rockstar Just Me says, I want to see you take your subscribers out in fleets, teach us your ways, and then put it up on YouTube. Meet up and go and bash structures together. It doesn't matter what it is, let's just get together. See, that's the social aspect that people like, isn't it? Kimberlashes says their suggestion has to be small gang roaming in low sec. There used to be a pirate with the United about 10 years ago, and they miss those days, and piracy and small gang fleets just don't seem to be like they used to. Well, I think they could. I think they absolutely could. When I was in Stay Frosty, there was lots of impromptu fleets which were kind of ramshackle, ad hoc, throw things together, no doctrine, but let's go and YOLO around and about. And they probably were as successful as often as they were self-destructive, but they were always fun. And they also had the organised fleets, which were excellent and far more successful and well organised, and really showed off the knowledge of the people who ran those fleets. Sentinos says, I would like to see small gang PvP while explaining different fleet setups with their advantages and disadvantages. And quite a few people mentioning the new corps that I'm setting up to be part of those to do small gangs and fleet PvP. There will be videos within the next couple of days about the new corps, and they will be open for people to join. Noob Collector says, I like the ganking, but I would definitely like to see other pirate activities, gate camping, bubble camping, small gang roams. Renati talks about the ganking advice I've given in the past and says, with that level of coordination, I think you would work very well as an FC, terrorising the null blocks. I don't think I've got the capacity to terrorise anybody. But he does go on to say any form of fleet would work, and the experience taking a bunch of people from high sec into space they aren't familiar with is always a treat, and I do agree with that. Ridiculous confidence that some of the null boys seem to have with their ships is borderline hilarious and always generates juicy kill mails and salt. It's as simple as putting together a fleet of 15 Vexes fit for brawling and hopping into an ESS. Renati, I would like to go out on a fleet with you. Maybe not as the FC, but I think that would be a lot of fun. Charles III says, how about explaining fleet combat for new people? My first plate was so confusing. Is that fleet maybe? With the FC calling out targets, different channels, and I stupidly started as a healer. It was overwhelming. Since then I've watched a couple of streams and it has helped. Well, I think, Charles, that we can see that maybe your gaming background, your path is taking you maybe from World of Warcraft towards EVE Online, referring to logistics or remote rep as a healer. But I absolutely agree with you about fleet combat comms during an ALP and how confusing it is. I used to be part of an alliance when I first started playing EVE Online called Bruce, and it was run by a chap, and I think there was quite a few ex-military in it, but they did run it as if They thought that they were part of the armed forces. Quite a lot of people who spoke like this and got quite angry. I remember 2 words that were meant to instill fear in us and force us to be quiet were, and this is how it was delivered, "Combat comms!" And it just reminded me of Flash Gordon. "Gordon's alive! Combat comms!" And it didn't give me fear. I had to switch off the mic or have push to talk because I would just be laughing so hard. But I do understand that if you're on an op, that there is a certain discipline required, because if you've got lots of people and they're all talking at once, or you're not on push to talk and there's background noise from lots of different people, it's not going to work. It's only going to go one way, and it's not good. So that there is a level of discipline and mutual respect that's required. And it is a cultural change. I remember listening to these for the first time and thinking, what is going on here? But you quickly learn about it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with setting out expectations for everyone before you go out on one of these fleets. But yeah, it can be unintentionally hilarious, but also incredibly useful tool if done right. Schmoll talks about wanting to see small-scale wars and battles between corps, whether that be high-sec wormhole space or anywhere in between. But also makes a very good point about they think that the best part of EVE is the interactions between the players and the conflicts that may come as part of that. That's absolutely right. These stories come from pilot interaction. They come from the things that we do together, and they can stay with you for life. So yeah, I would totally agree with that. So thanks for your comments on Small Gang and Fleets. Some really good observations about the game. Really good suggestions as well. The next thing that people want me to do is hunting down explorers and mission runners. Now there are people who do this and they're really, really, really good at it. And every day that they're on, they post link after link of mission runners, abyssal runners that they've killed. And each fit is worth 2-3 billion, and they kill the pods as well, which are all billions. I don't know where people get the money from to do this. The people who are doing these kills absolutely know what they're doing, and they get so many bling and shiny kills time and time and time again. So there are people who are doing this, and they're far better than I could be. And I also think that it requires more ships than I'm currently multi-box, and I do 3-4, and that's about as much as my laptop can manage. In fact, sometimes when I've got my 4th character doing boosting, I use a different laptop to free up resources on my main laptop, all Omega accounts. But the idea of being able to multi-box maybe 5, 6, 7 different characters, I don't think I've got the resources to do that. Caesar Brogustus says they would like to see me baiting mission runners into attacking you via suspect status. There's a few different ways to do this. You can steal some of their loot, or you can shoot their mobile tractor unit, activate a kill rate on yourself. Provided you know your ship and you know what you're doing, just try and bait them into attacking you. I know that the Nurgle, which is the Abyssal Assault Frigate, is very good for being able to take down ships in such situations. Nena E2 wants me to solo hot drop stuff with Black Ops battleships, hunting down people and doing that. That's overestimating my character's skill set and bank balance to be able to do a video about that, but good suggestion. Castiel Visage says, I live in a nullsec PvE station and the mission runners there tend to use shuttles to jump between gates to avoid bubbles and gate camps. They then enter a player-owned station in the designated system, board their PvE ship, and do the mission in that system, and then use the shuttles to get back. And they smart bomb them in the shuttles when they go between the gates, which would be a particularly good thing to do very soon when there's the event that drops the implants in the pods. So yeah, another video about targeting mission runners and explorers. Dredge Judd says, I'd like to have your take on hunting a certain type of explorer, the kind that cherry picks the loot cans and leaves worthless sites for others to find. That's passive aggressive and no one would lament their deaths. Plus they would have a decent amount of loot in cargo due to being that picky. You've got some issues there, Dredge, but I can see where you're coming from. Kizman Elias talks about worm ganking because they do a lot of site running and they are pimped a lot of the time. Pollocky says hunting down capsules coming out of abyssal runs. Some of the ones that come out are suspect, aren't they? Bull Z makes a similar comment. Sven Vicolander makes a similar comment about using the Nurgle to bait mission runners. Aralina Geras Macken says videos on hunting exploration frigates for their loot. I did a video before called Kill All Explorers where I just sat on a gate and every ship like an Imicus or a Heron that jumped through just try and pop them, but this is more about hunting down explorers. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about. The next largest category of suggestion was more ganking, doing more of what I've already been doing. I take it that's like Jita high set ganking. Lily Blackwell wants to know how I deal with the kill rates. Charlotte Well likes the ganking videos I do because they're very slow paced and super chill, either as a background thing when doing missions or to watch when I'm tired. There's actually a few people have said that they find my videos useful to aid sleep. I'm trying to take that as a compliment. So I do understand that people enjoy the ganking videos and that they would like more of them. And that's absolutely fine. I'm sure that I will never stray too far away from it. But the way that I do the ganking is very much a solo activity for a couple of reasons. I mean, there are people who say to me, can I join your fleet when you go ganking? And the answer has to be no, mainly for two reasons. One is I'm kind of semi-AFK when I do it. It's something that I can have when I've got the telly on or if I'm doing something else and I can just dip in and dip out. And it could be for hours that I'm sitting at a gate. And the second reason is when something does happen, it's usually done and dusted in less than a second. So I'm going from seeing what's in a ship that I'm scanning to activating the guns, and that's just like a nanosecond. So there isn't really much time for communication about potential targets the way that I do this. It's very much a solo player activity for me, and I'm trying to move away from that. There may well be more ganking videos in the future, but there will also be a lot more focus on things that involve other pilots. The next category of suggestions is something that I feel quite strongly about, and I've done some of this stuff already, but I do want to do a lot more, and that is videos for beginners or low skill activities. Angelica Valentine says how to actually make money as a noob to PvP to support the post-risk averse mindset. Pilot with the in-game name Kice, it's like Q-I-C-E, says it would be interesting to see a series of videos of you creating a new account and starting from scratch. Barry Monk would like to see a series of content as an alpha clone and see how much you can get out of cheap ships and fits. Darkus Kuralem says I would like to see more stuff about how you can earn easier ISK. As my account dropped from Omega to Alpha, now I can't scale anything, which is quite annoying, not gonna lie. Without a subscription, Eve is, I don't know, unplayable. Mate, just pay for it. I see this focus of so many players who are talking about having to spend so much of their time earning ISK in the game to plex their game. And all you're doing there is placing restrictions upon yourself with the time that you can spend doing actually what you want to do in Eve and the limits of an alpha character. If you think of Eve as being £20, $20 a month, and you've got a job that pays $20, £20 a month, or maybe half of that, then you work for an hour or two, you've paid for Eve for a month. Whereas if you want to try and earn the money for the ISK in game, it could take you days or a couple of weeks if you're a new player, or if you're a low skilled player, or if you're going to play as an alpha and try and plex in game like that. Just pay for it, and then you've got all of that time to just enjoy the game, do the activities themselves, or maybe use the knowledge that you gain from playing the game to figure out ways of earning ISK using the skills that you've learnt. There are pilots who complex their account with their loot that drops from the people that they kill because they like to specialise in PvP. When I was doing ganking as a means of income, I was easily getting enough to plex 3, 4, 5 sometimes characters every month. If you want to spend your time in game just earning ISK so you can plex it for the next month, I kind of don't see the point. You're ruling out so many aspects of the game and it's so much fun. You're doing it as a job. So don't. If there's a way that you can pay to do it, just do it. Minwin says, I'd like to see more tutorial style videos for people with lower skills, PvP, tactics, ship fits, faction warfare, etc. The game has a very sharp learning curve. You're absolutely right. There are so many times that there are things in EVE, the instructions in game don't tell you how to actually use an item. Like, there's nothing in game that explains to a new person how probes work. So you get education through the beginner's missions up to a certain point, and then you're pretty much left out on the universe, but there's lots of gaps in the knowledge there. And I know that a lot of the EVE partners are looking at this area of knowledge, this gap, and saying there should be videos that pick up from where the beginner mission finish and then provide areas of expertise, videos to teach people about these niche areas, and then people can choose their own content, their own path, and find the videos that suit them. Zek Rothschild makes this exact point. I would like to see a series about game progression or options after the air missions are completed. I know that people feel lost about what to do next, what to train next, what to fit next, and important game mechanics that you need to know as you progress through those stages. You're absolutely right, Zek. And a few other people asking about how to make ISK to plex the quickest. Okay, I'm gonna tell you how you can make, I'm gonna do it in just like a couple of sentences. How to make ISK the quickest as an alpha, and the only way that I know of that you can make enough ISK in a day to plex you for a month is to be a loot thief. Is to go to the docking point at G244 in a wreath, in an industrial, and just try and loot the wrecks before the gank is there, loot them themselves. Just absolutely fill that area with all these newbies with ships, and all they've got to do is click. I've done videos about how to be a loot thief. Just follow that video. Other people will be sacrificing their tornadoes and thrashers to give you the loot that you need to plex yourself. Just go and do it. That's the only suggestion I've got for how an alpha character can realistically plex their account without spending the entire month doing it. Next category is anti-ganking and surviving ganking. Johnny Two-Tone says, I would like you to gank the ganker. That would make it hilarious. It would be, but I would also lose a lot of friends. Play as a hitman, buy kill rights and hunt people down, says George Casanumi. Nate42 Vivorant says, I hate botting. I think it would be fun if instead of ganking you fly around in a loot pinata trying to get ganked. I've flown an MCT, multiple training certificate I think, in a venture. It was definitely thrilling, but nobody even scanned me. No. Maybe you could try to show the other side of ganking and film yourself mining or hauling to try to bait gankers and get ganked from Baya Verpio. Carcon Arisa says something similar, an in-depth guide on the whole mentality of avoiding ganks with a hauler, frigate or even a mission ship. I did a series of kill all videos where I picked one ship type and focused on trying to kill them, and I think in doing those videos there's lots of hints about how to avoid being ganked, fitting techniques, bookmarks when docking, things like that. So watch those, that might come in handy for you. How to avoid being ganked while mining, asks KGB15. No. this no. Counter ganking with Logi and ECM attempts. That's from the Puce Moose. I'd like to see a video about the psychology of baiting. What are the subtle things you can actively do that increase the odds that someone will attack you? Are there little things you can do that may make you seem clueless, don't actually place you at a significant disadvantage? And that's from Cavalok. I don't know if you mean for PvP or if you're talking about baiting people for kill rights, but certainly if you get a small ship, tank it to hell, and then stick 200 or 300 million worth of cargo in there, then you can farm kill rights from thrashers quite easily. Now this is interesting. This is from Ryan Croney. I would like to see a series of ganking versus anti-ganking videos. Get some corp members ready for ganking and know you are coming. Let's see what tactics and fits work best for both ganking and for not being ganked. The next category people would like me to do video about is PvE. Just player versus environment. Basically missions and in-game content. SMD258 says, I think it would be sick if you did some videos about the different DED sites and combat anomalies, as there are lots of content there and not many YouTubers have made a proper guide for them. If you are going to run missions, there are a couple of different websites that have got fantastic guides on what to expect from the missions. Eve Uni has got them as well. They tell you the type of damage that you can expect to get and the rewards you can get, and also how to blitz those missions. So just type in the mission name and level 4, or if it's Serpentis or Goristas, and it will give you a full guide. It's definitely worth looking up. Creco Monarch says, I would love to see the differences between levels of missions, like the difference time invested between level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 security missions or any other type of missions. I haven't really seen anyone do a breakdown of them on what the differences are. On top of that, if the higher levels are worth more time. And if you could do level 5s, would it be better to just run filaments, stuff like that? Very good suggestion. Next category is killing orcas and freighters. There was 8 of you want me to multi-box catalyst to catch freighters and kill orcas. Hey, if you want to see orcas getting blown up, just look for safety on Zkill and look at Wrathful Hawk and all his Hawk ults. He does more punishment and damage to orcas than I could ever dream of. And if you want to see dead freighters as well, again, safety are the absolute masters of it. Jason Kujan as well. 6 of you wanted me to do more deep dive documentaries like I did about the Jitabots and the ganking videos. Investigative journalism is how Canasta refers to it. Documentary style videos. Mindless XD would like to see more complicated in-game topics or activities in more of a documentary style. And Amalf Hastmina wants me to do investigating bot activity around New Eden. Xenotex wants me to do more deep dive documentaries about mining, ratting, missions in the market. More on the information gathering sides. Organisations in Eve doesn't teach you about, like Wardex Corps, the guys with all the pocos, the people who huff all the gas for boosters. So more documentary type things about people in the game and who does what. I mean, that does sound quite interesting. And a lot of work though. Next category is about my new corp, or the 2 corps that I've talked about setting up, and as I mentioned earlier, we'll be doing that very, very soon. So people there who are showing interest, and I'm getting lots of messages in game and on Twitter about these, so I really need to get my act together. I have spent a lot of time recently finding a good system to set up these new corps in, and I had it ready. I had so many ships set up, corporation bookmarks set up, logistics in place, and I'd chosen the Intaki system, and I thought Intaki was perfect because it was one jump from high sec, it was just a few jumps from null, surrounded by low security systems with faction warfare, perfect for PvP. And literally just as I had everything in place, CCP changed the security status of Intaki from 0.4, which is low sec, to 0.5, meaning that it was virtually useless as a low sec base. So all of that work, I had to start again, source somewhere else. So that's put a little bit of a delay in the new corps, but back now to the point at which I can start inviting people, so that's going to happen very soon. So thanks to everyone who suggested videos about that and who's shown an interest in it. That will kick off shortly. The next category, 5 people asked for videos about different occupations in EVE Online. Ty Blaze Silverwing wants me to document my experiences of trying out different occupations. Shadow Rat wants me to do 100 hours of mining. Have I ganked you in the past, mate? Is there something that you're trying to punish me for? Mega Saxon wants me to do a complete 180 and set up a massive mining or hauling company as a multi-boxer. And also throws in Kill All Titans. Noob4 every time wants me to try out different lifestyles in EVE. Try joining null blocks, smaller groups and null wormhole groups, low sec groups, and give pros and cons about the different careers afterwards. Very good. The next category is low sec. A series of videos explaining how to survive and create content in low security. That's from Fudster. Cathanaderon says, looking at the content on YouTube, there is lots of guides about videos about living in high sec or null sec, but I haven't seen much about low sec. I've done 2-3 videos about low security space, but it's pretty much an introduction, a beginner's guide as to logistically what the rules are that are different in low security space with regards to security, gate guns, what you can and can't do, and who will attack you on gates and stations if you do particular things. So check those out. There might be some information in there that you're after. 3 people wanted quality of life hints. How to set up overall overviews. What to do if you're caught in a gate camp or bubble. That's from Sarah Cerberus. And Hazardous Fragrance wants more details about server priority phenomenon. Now we're just getting into categories that have maybe just a couple of people have suggested. So these are more unique suggestions for videos to make. And I know that my camera's not working fantastically, so please forgive me for that. Daniel Lore and Ramak Ashai want me to do videos about nullsec, but specifically about reporting on either daily life or larger scale politics about the larger groups that operate out of nullsec. I actually wouldn't mind doing that because the large block thing and who does what is a large part of certain people's games, the big blocks, and yet it's not something I've ever really looked into. I think I would like to know the bigger picture of what's going on in nullsec. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion. I think I will do something about that. 2 people have asked me to do a video about a grand tour of EVE, which is Merlin the Wizard, and Sharelstai Anaret wants me to do a video about some of the rarer anomalies and sites and the odd places in New Eden. I would say check out Katia Say, who is probably the most famous explorer in EVE Online, who does guides on the different things that you can see, and she's been to every system in EVE. Check them out, although I like the idea myself as well. A couple of people, ISO Swifty and Joran, want me to do some videos about ship fits, but also Joran and another pilot called Asherina want me to do videos about scams, high-sec scams, contract scams, the common scams, the kind of scams that you see in local chat in Jita. I do know about some of these scams, but maybe making them public would ruin some people's careers, so yeah, maybe some things I shouldn't be making videos about. And then these are just single suggestions for videos. Larynx Austrine wants videos about locking and cloak tricking. Why can't you normally get a sub 2-second align ship pointed, things like that? Well, that's more to do with the tick, isn't it? Keats Caliber specifically wants me to do industry for beginners, which is a good idea. There was another pilot got in touch with me, it might have been Wrathful Hawk himself, who says talk about industry, but do it from the point of view of starting out with how to build a Thrasher and then the T2 guns on the Thrasher, and then at the end of the process you will have built a Thrasher which you will then go out and gank with, so it will talk you through how to build everything that you're going to use to go ganking, which I think is a fantastic idea. Now Konica comes out with a really good idea for a video, a series that attempts to classify the threats different ships represent when you see them in your system, as you go about some gentle PvE stuff in low sec. So when you see a particular ship on scan, what does that mean? what are the threats that poses. That's a really good suggestion. I've had suggestions for how to generate passive income, how to do planetary interactions. Another couple of good suggestions. 1D Luna suggests videos about third-party tools like Python, Workbench, and I would think Pirate's Little Helper, things like that. I would really keen to do a video on Zkill as well. That's a really good suggestion. And finally, Pixel Moon says an investigation or analysis of the high-sec WARDEC groups like Black Flag, Riot, Wrecking Machine, and who the personas are involved. Also, what happened to the Pulco Wars and Beyond B's idea to try and take them down. Thank you very much for your suggestions. You are a knowledgeable, entertaining bunch. I'm going to pick out what I think are the best suggestions and contract through some skins to the 20 or so best ideas that I had there. They're fantastic. You've given me lots of food for thought there, and I will be making videos based on these suggestions. So I'm MacGybo, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.